Hello, hello. Welcome to Zeteo'sSpeedCast, the program where we take high-level replays and cast them at 1.5 times speed. I'm your host, Zeteo.
Game started.
Anyways, the game is started. We got Therxy spawned at the bottom right-hand position as our blue Armada player, our 45 OS player. And we got Mirrored spawned at the top left-hand position as our red 44 OS Armada player. So red as Mirrored and blue as Therxy. Now Therxy has taken this very forward position here as a start. I believe the start boxes are something like that, or so like around here, right? So Therxy taking as forward as you can of a position here. So I believe he's going to be laying down a lot of pressure early on. Now this is Feast of Hades, so the map is a little bit bigger than some of the other maps. Like I would say 14 by 14 is your typical 1v1 size or medium size for map, and then a 16 by 16 is a little bit on the larger side. But yeah, Mirrored here doing this position, this spawn, more in the center where it's not like you're in the back and really safe from aggression because there's only so many ways into a corner position. Taking a little bit more of a forward position, but not too forward at the same time. So just cranking out some ticks here, leaving them around for defense early on. I would actually say you could, I feel like most of the time people crank out a constructor first and then the ticks. So Mirrored here maybe going to do some aggression of his own, sends the 3 ticks out towards the top right hand position, and then 3 more towards the bottom left position. So we're going to be attacking from 2 different areas here. Meanwhile, Therxy sending some pawns across the map, run into the 3 ticks at the top, and the ticks are shoot away. But yeah, I guess Therxy just going to be pressing forward. Those ticks, of course, faster than the pawns, so those pawns have no chance of catching them. And so he's going to have to rely on ticks for defense. He's already got some out here to defend this con and this expansion here. So I think he's going to be feeling pretty good with that, but he doesn't know about these other 3 ticks coming around here, and maybe the 6 together can throw this off, can threaten this position. We'll have to see if Therxy throws over a pawn to see maybe do some damage. No, it looks like these 3 ticks engage without the other 3 going for the main base instead, but for the most part getting picked off because there's plenty of tick defenders. So now there's only 4 ticks, and now it can definitely be a little bit easier for Therxy to defend this. He's even got some more ticks popping out to defend just in case. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, some pawns try to do a little bit of damage, get taken out here at the same time because Mirrored having plenty of pawns as defense as well. So both players trying to do some stuff, but nothing really happening so far. The defender doing a nice job taking care of business. We do have those pawns moving up towards the top location, and this is really the dangers of taking this position as your base here. Is you don't really have vision of the high ground. Radar can cover it a little bit, but at the same time, stuff just kind of coming through, you might not see it. It's a little bit easier to miss them, and it just leaves this big flank from the top, or even a flank from the left-hand side, as well as the normal attack paths from the other positions here. So Mirrored doing a nice job at defending though, despite that. So I think it's working out for him quite nicely right now. He is pulling ahead on income. He does have 3 cons out expanding at this point. Meanwhile, Therxy just now getting his 2nd con out to expand. So going to be a little bit behind for it. And I think Therxy trying to be more aggressive this game, it hasn't really worked out for him this time. I feel like, this early pawn aggression can certainly work, but because the map's larger, there's extra time for your opponent to just like have an extra con while still having enough units to defend. Now this does put the pressure on Mirrored, and Mirrored's going to have to keep his units primarily at home to defend instead of sending them out to be aggressive. I definitely see a lot of players make the mistake, myself included actually, where I'll take maybe 4 of these pawns and say, hey, let's go try to make a raid happen while also defending. And you can't really do that against Therxy's kind of play because he just has so many pawns out here already because of the fact that he didn't add on that 2nd con until much later. The other thing to think about at this point in time is just when do these players add on their construction turret. Construction turrets are kind of expensive. You need to be really careful of when you build it. You need to have a significant amount of energy coming in, as well as have a little bit of a bank of metal You know, you want to have 200 metal income as well, or sorry, 200 metal banked up and 200 energy coming in at least to be able to produce this quickly. And they take a little bit of time to make, and you usually boost it with your commander to speed things up. And when you do that, that means that your army value is going to be lower for it. So the timing of that can be very important to figure out. Therxy, you know, has added on these 2 con turrets, and I think wisely so. He had the time to do it, you know, because he's laid down this aggression earlier on. And now, actually, look at this. Therxy has moved his army, you know, towards Mir's base. A single tick is actually doing some damage in there as well. But yeah, all these pawns coming in here, maybe going to do some damage. But meanwhile, Mir has come into Therxy's base as well. This is a lot of pawns on both sides, kind of just wrecking the place. So these players just kind of trading blows. But actually, looking at this, the damage is not really equal. Like, although Mir lost a lot of stuff, he primarily lost wind turbines, and wind turbines are a lot cheaper than these solars. These solar, you know, if we look at the metal banked, Therxy's a little bit lower, so he's going to have a harder time rebuilding. And typically when you rebuild, you want to do solar because they build a little bit faster in a lot of cases, and this is certainly one of them. In terms of build time, what am I trying to say? The time or the wind speed to break even in terms of build time is 12. So if the wind is higher than that, then it's kind of better, or it's faster, I should say, to build wind turbines than solar. But you know, on this map, the average is lower than that. So it certainly can be nice to just build the solars anyways, just knowing that the wind can dip down, and especially when you don't have the energy to build the wind turbines. So you know, just cranking out the solars as a rebuild kind of tool is typically what you want to do. Self-D goes off on that pawn, by the way. So there's wreck denial there from Therxy. But yeah, Therxy trying to build on solars as best he can, and you know, both players really trying to do that. But so far, Mir has kind of done a better job. Like, these bots don't really require that much, you know, that much metal, and so you can spend a little bit more on those labs, or spend a little bit more on pumping units. You know, and Therxy, meanwhile, you know, trying to build vehicles instead. Actually, he's turned off his bot lab, so that's not really that big of a concern. But yeah, it just doesn't quite have the income for it. Looks like there's an idle commander there. But yeah, meanwhile, we got some pawns at the top right area looking to threaten this the expansion up here. There's also some raids at the bottom. Some ticks coming in here, but they run into some LTs, get taken out. For the most part, actually one survives. Meanwhile, there is some pawns also running through here trying to find some damage, but no dice, or at least not that much. You know, only a couple of mechs is lost there. Meanwhile, those units at the top position actually taking all the mechs is out in that position. There was even a solar up there, so that can be a big deal as well. And now I feel like Mir can just send these units back home or something. He doesn't necessarily need to press forward and overcommit to this attack and lose those units. It looks like he's decided to attack still. So he's pressing forward in this position, but Therxy's units are actually still out of position. He's not responding to these pawns with those units, so he's I guess trying to just hold that position at the top with these blitzes. But now these pawns are roaming around. Now they're threatening this lab. They jump on the lab, but there's plenty of units here from Therxy, and Therxy takes a nice big trade here in that defender position. Sorry, I'm just catching my breath a little bit. There's been nonstop action in this game, especially when you're talking about 1.5 times speed. You can see the speed is down here. It's actually 1.43 or 47, depending on you know, latency and whatnot. So you know, it is a lot of action. It's a lot of stuff going on. It looks like Mir actually took this middle base here, but it's being threatened by Therxy. So really important that Therxy takes it out, because these are 3.0 mexes. They're a little bit bigger than your other mexes, 50% more metal, and so it can be a big deal to have that. And so you know, I think Therxy's doing a smart job of taking that out for the moment. Actually adding on a second vehicle lab here, so he has 2 vehicle labs and a bot lab. I guess he's just not able to spend his money quickly enough. And I don't know, I kind of feel like he should just add on some more con turrets here, but at the same time, you know, maybe feeling like he doesn't have the time to do so. Just adding on another lab instead, you know, so that he can just produce more units. But yeah, a little bit of bits of aggression being thrown back at Mir, but it's not really a lot of units here. It's not really a lot of raids and Mirror just has enough units kind of stationed everywhere. So doing a very, very good job, and I would say even an exceptionally good job defending these various locations, these various lanes that he can get attacked from. So just like, you know, these units here, and then just pressuring along this as well. You might think that this side is kind of open, kind of exposed, but the commander's there, and commanders do really well against vehicles who have a harder time dodging the D-gun shots. So I think he's going to be feeling pretty okay with that. But yeah, Mirrored, I think at this point just has too much economy. Barcast is losing this position here, getting further and further behind. And, you know, this is really troubling. This is really difficult for Therxy, because now he's going to have to get another con out here to expand, you know, to take that position once again. He lost this mechs here, and, you know, that's more mechs, is that he needs to get more cons out to expand, but doesn't have enough units to defend with. So, you know, it's sort of like, are you spending on units, or are you spending on constructors? And if you go constructors, well, now you don't have enough to defend, and you just lose a bunch more territory. Maybe you even lose the constructors. So very important that he keeps his remaining constructors alive. Unfortunately, this one getting into a position where he was trying to build a forward mechs, but wasn't really guarded, and Mirrored jumps on it. Mirrored kind of doing a nice job, just being kind of everywhere, being very aware of everything going on the map. There is a bit of a raid with these 5 blitzes trying to get in. Maybe you can find some damage. They can maybe get through here. There's a self-D on the LLT. It goes... actually, it must not have gone off, because these blitzes were not damaged. The self-D radius of the LLT certainly would have hit those units. But yeah, I think you know, Therxy is in a lot of trouble here. He kind of just needs to maybe get rid of one of these labs, but put on some build power instead. Because that's a lot of money that's just kind of sitting there. It's what, like 720 for a vehicle lab, or 740 even. So, you know, that's a lot of metal that's just kind of sitting there not being used, and he kind of really needs that metal to be able to produce more units, to be able to contend with everything that's Mirrored has. And by doing that, he's just kind of getting further and further behind. You know, and he continues these raids, trying to apply the pressure back at Mirrored, but Mirrored is just doing too good of a job defending everything. You know, and he's got plenty of LLTs out, and now he has a massive force at the bottom here. Therxy's commanders here kind of exposed, but at the same time, I don't really think this is enough to take that out, unless he like presets up here and spreads his units, or I guess pre-spreads his units. But yeah, Therxy taking out this position once again, and we hear some bombers coming out for Mirrored. And I would say that, you know, if you have this early lead like this, you know, and you just have a bigger army value, you're able to lay down more pressure than your opponent. Bombers can be a nice transition, a nice way to just kind of seal the deal and do some extra damage that your opponent can't really do much about. You know, you can bomb the main base, and then you can build Banshees, or have bombers going around the map, destroying some of the mechs, you know, on the map. And it's really annoying. It's really difficult for a player who's behind to also put down an air lab for fighters. And if you're not doing fighters, then you got to rely on having nettles everywhere, and that becomes expensive. So, you know, I think this is a really nice play here from Mirrored, to just kind of seal the deal and put the hurt back on Therxy, or continuously put it on Therxy when the ground forces are running into more of a stalemate. But yeah, unfortunately for Mirrored, and a nice thing for Therxy, he jumps on this army, gets some nice trades there, and he needs to do more and more things like that. But look at this. He can't really, he doesn't really have enough units to deal with all these units coming up from the north either. You know, he kind of needs to have a lot of units in both positions here. Splitting some of the units up there is certainly going to help out. The LTs and Beamer that he has is a nice addition to help with this. So Mirrored just, you know, being really smart, playing it safe, just kind of backing out of there instead of going for it. And just being really defensive. You know, it's the kind of thing where it's like, yeah, you can run in there and try to just end the game, but it's very risky. If you lose your army in a bad way, then all of a sudden your opponent's actually in a better position than they were before you even attacked, and it allows them for counterattacks and whatnot. So, you know, I think Mirrored is doing a nice job not overcommitting into positions that are overly defended, or you know, positions that are very well defended. And just kind of looking for a different angle to attack from. Sorry, I should probably zoom into this actual battle. But yeah, I think it's just, at this point, just too many things for Therxy to handle. And Therxy, okay, so Therxy tapped out. He could have maybe played that out a little bit longer, but
Battle
I
ended.
think, well, Look at all these res bots out here for mirrored. It'd be pretty difficult to contend with that if your opponent's getting the reclaim from the battles that are in your base. It's not a good sign. Anyways, that does it for this cast. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys learned something. I know I go through it rather quickly at 1.5 times speed, but you know, just trying to speed it up so it's a little bit more palatable, so that you know stuff is just continuously happening. But hopefully, I didn't miss too many things. And if you guys enjoyed this cast, I do try to put one out every couple of days. So, you know, subscribe for more. Tell your friends if you enjoyed this cast. Tell them that this is out there, because I don't know. I think I do a reasonable job. If I don't, by the way, you know, feel free to leave some criticism, and I'll try to do better in the future. Anyways, this is Zeteo signing out. Thanks for watching.